go to your home.
Why don't you want to go to your home?
Are you too good for your home?
Al dente, welcome to the Surplus Boys channel.
Welcome.
Today we have a M91 Italian Carcano, and this is one of my more favorite guns. I have a few good bit of these.
His obsession with these is my obsession with M1 Garens.
Exactly. So, with that, we're going to have to talk a little bit about backstory before we get to this guy. Try to keep it brief. So, Italy. Little baby boy Italy.
Italy.
A lot of agriculture, not a lot of industry.
We might offend a lot of people in this video.
I have Italian in me. My last name is Italian. So I can say all the dirty Italian jokes I want. I don't think the internet's going to like it, though.
I am Italian a little bit.
Who cares? But anyway, so the gun that came before this was the Italian Fucile rifle. It was originally a single shot, then became a magazine loading gun, but it shot a nice, big, chunky black powder cartridge that was slow, not fast. And then the French, as we all know, with the nice, beautiful white French flag behind us,
Created the label.
Created the label and smokeless powder. And then everybody was like, oh crap, we need tiny bullets, fast shooting guns. So a lot of the countries in Europe started to do that. So for Italy, they're like, okay, well, we need to think of something because there are two major neighbors, which was Austria, or Austria-Hungarian Empire, and Germany.
Yeah.
So yeah, both of them are yeah. Besides the Hungarian part, I don't know how they say yes in Hungarian.
One of them yodels a lot.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. They're weird people. So with that, the Germans adopted the 1888 commission rifle. Anyway, and then the Austro-Hungarians had the 1888 Mannlicher. So those were big influences on this gun in particular. So pretty much, but despite that, both of those guns were actually in 8mm. As Italy was looking at cartridge data and things to play with, they preferred 6.5 actually as their cartridge. So their troops could carry more ammo.
Italians are also small.
Yes, they're also smaller people. And they have a lot of mountains. So they have to carry that by hand. The Italians decided to work on the cartridge before they actually came up with a gun. So they established the 6.5 Carcano, which everybody would kind of know. That's actually 6.5 by 52mm. And they used that with, actually it originally was rimmed, if you didn't know that. It did not last very long.
I can imagine why. Is that a taper-walled cartridge or a straight wall?
For the rimmed?
Well, in general.
In general, no, it's pretty straight. Yeah, it's straight walled. I think the rim one had a slight taper, but
kind of like 303. Well,
yeah,
303's got a big taper.
Yeah, kind of like 303, probably maybe like 30-40 Krag.
Yeah, slight.
And those rounds were actually fitted with ballistite at first. And then they realized, wait a minute, ballistite is way too corrosive and was blowing jackets off the bullets.
I didn't even know this.
And causing major issues. So they actually went to a selenite, which is the Italians' version of cordite, which actually selenite came first than to cordite. Cordite came out in like 1901. So
and that's what the British
Italy is the first technical cordite boys.
Yeah,
so
the British, most 303, almost all surplus 303 is loaded with cordite, I believe.
Yeah, pretty much. Big nice sticks.
Yeah, one of these days we'll break open one of those, because I have a couple of surplus rounds. We'll break open them and see the spaghetti inside.
Yes, the British spaghetti.
Yep.
There was a small arms commission in Italy that were developing this new cartridge, and now they finally figured out their cartridge. Now they needed to figure out the gun. So pretty much what they did, they went to an infantry marksman school in Parma, and there was one man, which I'm going to have to look at my notes because I'm not going to be able to pronounce it, a General Gustavo Paravicino.
Parma, is that where the cheese came from?
Yeah, it's probably where the cheese came from. But this man, he went there to do the test. Yeah, do the test for these rifles and try to figure out, barrels and stuff like that. They had a lot of different guns that came from outside countries.
Do you have other ones they tested?
I don't have all of them. There was apparently 15 different guns they tested.
Okay.
So pretty much
Probably commission rifle, probably a straight pole.
Yeah, things from Mauser, things from Mannlicher, things from other sources, probably out to like Russia and maybe to Britain.
It'd be funny if they tested. That would have been a Longley at that point.
Yeah, probably.
That would have been amusing.
There's a lot of different things that were from outside of Italy, and they were tested for their 6.5 cartridge, because that was adopted actually on April 18th, 1890.
Sidetrack.
So all of those 15 test rifles with the 6.5 were all rejected. Italy was like, nah, none of this is working out. But they took a lot of ideas from that. And so in technicality, the Carcano in its own self is a commission rifle. It borrowed ideas from a few guns, actually, to make its most of it. So pretty much with this gun, that has a lot of different nuances with Mannlicher and Mauser, mostly incorporated in it. They used some ideas from their previous gun, the Vetterli, and stuff like that. And they take some ideas from, I think, the actual, the Mannlicher action, or the magazine, but also with the barrel and stuff like that.
Can you imagine if they put a barrel jacket on this, like a commission rifle?
It'd be heavier.
It'd be heavy.
It's actually, that's one thing. This is a very light gun, because
it is, and it lends itself to the 6.5. It doesn't recoil actually that bad at all.
And then
it's actually a very nice gun to shoot.
Yes, very, very nice. Very.
They're pleasant.
Very pleasant. But anyway, so a lot of the ideas that were actually brought into this gun, the bolt was a derivative actually of a Mauser in a way. It's nothing like a Mauser, but the idea of the two forward locking lugs, cock on open action. The safety system is actually from Salvatore Carcano, who originally made a safety back in the 1860s. And that's where most of the gun gets its name from, so I don't understand, because then the magazine system's literally directly from Mannlicher.
Yeah.
They actually paid royalties.
So what is actually Carcano in this?
It's mostly the safety, maybe something to do with the stock. I don't know, because I think he put some stuff in, and they liked how the stock was set up.
Did you do the sights?
Well, this is almost pretty close to a Vetterli sight.
That's true.
Their the second style sight.
And
then up front, it's pretty basic, but there's a lot of stuff that made this gun. Anyway, so this gun actually was derived from a couple different arsenals put in their tests. So for like Torino, Torri Annunziata, I think that's how you say it, and some of the other ones.
Don't look at me.
Look at you about Italian names. But anyway, they all put stuff in, and then pretty much the Torino one was the victor out of all three of them, and that became Ministerial Act number 57 of March 29th, 1892, actually. So this is an 1892. It's not an 1891, but that's what they call it. So anyway, that's the history. That's the skinny, even though that was super freaking long. So other things about this gun, like I said, is very light. The one with an walnut stock, which this is walnut stock, they only weigh 7.72 pounds. For a
7.7.
Yeah, 7.7.
That's ironic.
For a full-length gun that has a...
Do you know how much it weighs with the bayonet on?
No.
What is that? Another pound, probably?
Maybe. Yeah, probably.
It's not like the 1917 where it makes it extremely heavy.
Yeah, really. I mean, it's already a really heavy gun.
Yeah,
but very light gun with a beechwood stock, though, which I do have another one that does have a beechwood stock. It is much heavier. They are 8.6 pounds. So
it's still not a lot.
Yeah, it's still not a lot, but
if
you're used to these, then it makes it.
Because I almost said an 03 Springfield, but we'll go with a Krag. I think Krag weighed more.
I think, their magazine system is a little bigger and a little chunkier.
And it's almost through the whole stock.
Yeah, I mean, this is hollow. All of this is completely hollow. Just a big hole through the gun. But anyway, and then, that going with a gun that has a 30.7-inch barrel, that's a long barrel. The whole gun is about 51 inches long. So very long, especially for Italians back then. Italians were short people.
Yep.
That especially goes with the Vetterli. We'll talk about that. Vetterlis are gigantic comparatively to small 1800s Italian people. Especially with the bayonet on them. But
that was still the era of sword bayonets.
Yeah, still the era of sword bayonets. These ones are tiny. They're actually, the Italians were the first ones to actually start making the smaller kind of knife style ones.
Because you think everybody look at the Lee Metford bayonet was technically a sword bayonet.
Yeah, long. All the Lees were long.
All Lees were long. The 03, the Krag, all those bayonets.
Yeah, the Mauser bayonets long. They're all long.
17 inches long.
Yeah.
So how long is that?
I think it's like 12.
Yeah.
It's like a foot worth.
It's like
so
half a length.
Production of these guns, they made a lot. In the millions, of course. So Tyranny was the top dog when it came to making these guns.
This is a Tyranny, right?
This is a Tyranny rifle. They made them from 1892, so from the beginning all the way to 1936.
Mussolini.
Through the Mussolini era. And they made almost 3 million. That's actually 2,820,000.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they made the most.
That many.
And then Brescia, they made a small amount. Brescia usually makes the smaller guns, the Moschettos. They only made them for a brief stint, I think. They only made 51,000. Torino made a pretty good amount. They were also started in the beginning. They made about 184,000. Torne and Ozada, or however the heck you say it, they took a bit to start it, but they started making 148,000. Mida, I think Brescia. Mida, that's another company out of Brescia, I think. They started during the wartime, so 1916. They only made them for like a year or two to help supplement the other
the
arsenals.
Number shows that.
Yeah, so 129,000. And Roma, which is in Rome, 1917 for like 1918. They made 233,000. And Beretta, you would know that name, only made,
which is, name people
which is weird because Beretta started making these in 1936 to 1940.
Beretta would be cool.
They only made 22,000. So that is the least out of all of them. But it's really weird because during that time period, that's when they're making the M38, which is the atypical Kennedy Carcano gun that everybody talks about. So
one of these from Beretta would be cool.
Yeah, that would probably be quite more expensive.
It's probably pricey.
So, but that's all we're going to give you for now because that's way too much information. So we are going to bring you in closer so we can actually look at some of the markings and other little tiny nuances and itty bitty bits on this bad boy. Alrighty, now we have the Carcano a little closer. We can take a look at some of the little tiny tidbits that make this gun pretty neat for what it is, especially since you don't see the long ones very often. You mostly just see the Moschettos and the shorter ones. So I guess first we'll take a look at some markings here. So get this a little closer to action. So most of the markings on these guns you're going to be finding up here on the lands. So there's a couple of proof marks there, acceptance marks. Those two circular ones right there. One does say an SG, I think, on it, and one is the Italian crest, the flaming crest on there. I think that's what that is. I could totally be wrong. This is the serial number on this side right here. That is the Tyranny Arsenal. That's where this one's from. So this is a pretty common boy, or super easy to find these ones, these Tyranny ones. And the 15, so the year of manufacture is going to be a little weird. They change things a lot, depending on who made the gun and what date line or whatever, something like that. So you'll see ones. Let's see, that says just 15. That means 1915. Now we can deduce that. But sometimes you'll see it says 1915, or it'll say 915. That means 1915, or you'll have 895, that means 1895. Or you'll get ones, they'll have the full thing, like 1928. And ones that fall under Mussolini's rule in the 20s and the 30s, they'll also have Roman numerals on them. I do have another one of these that is one of those. I don't have it here, unfortunately, for this video, but that's pretty much that. You'll also find markings for the serial on the bolt. This one is mismatched. And then you also find, I think, some proof markings in other small places on the bolt. That marking there. There's probably some parts on the safety and whatnot. And then usually the stocks are also serialized as well. This one is super chewy. Can't tell if that matches or not. This butt plate definitely got a bit of a boo-boo. Don't know what from. I don't think there's usually any markings really on the bottom of the magazine. There's usually some up in the sight under the plate here. No idea what any of those mean, those numbers on there. No, I don't know the correlation to those. On the top of the sight, I don't think anything else. I mean, these are the sight markings graduated out in meters, hundreds of meters. There's nothing really up front besides the import marking, unfortunately. So one thing with this gun is it is very light for how long it is. One of the nicest things about these guns, and the fact that it does shoot a very, very light round. That is very flat shooting. One thing with flat shooting I will discuss is on this sight. So that's the indicative Carcano sight. It's not very tall, kind of big, kind of hard to read when you're actually aiming down them. So pretty much how I have it here, so you'll have this notch back here. That's actually your battle sight, that notch there. Most people, especially if you see my gun shows, they'll have the sight completely like that. That is not the battle sight. That is actually graduated out to 600 meters. So when the misnomer of people say, oh, Carcanos are extremely inaccurate, that's just because they don't know how to use the frickin' sights. So, I mean, you know, that's also why we're bringing you this video, to educate you on that. And this notch is for the sight. That's where the sight goes. It actually helps hold the this top handguard piece, because this one's old and it's a little worn, so it flops in there. But this also does help hold it down. And actually, for the battle sight, it's at 300 meters. So people will still say that these are inaccurate because they're shooting, way too high. So pretty much how they were taught to aim these guns, especially at anywhere in between 300 meters to really close, 50 meters, something like that, is you would bury the front sight in the V-notch back here. Front sight is your just typical little tiny, I guess that's a blade, barleycorn type blade. Insert correct name here. So yeah, that's what you would want to do, especially for some of these guns. And then really depends though. And then there's one thing also with these guns that people say that they're inaccurate is, especially these longer ones, these are very old guns, and they were used, especially ones that are pre-World War I and during World War I. Those guns were used extensively. The bores on these are usually not pretty, especially the long ones. Some of the Moschettos and the small ones are a little bit better, not as used. So that's one thing that will kind of give away to the fact that they're inaccurate, is this one has a very sewer pipe bore. It is not pretty. I might be able to pop up a photo somewhere of it. It's not good. I can shoot kind of accurately out of this. It took a lot of reloading and trying to figure it out. Doesn't like the factory ammunition. And to kind of show you, these are dummy rounds here. These are rounds I will load because 6.5 is, the proper 6.5 bullets are hard to get. So this guy here. So cases are usually Privy Partisan cases, pretty easy. Privy Partisan makes this ammo, but they make it to a 2.64 sized bullet, and that's the standard 6.5 that we think of here in the U.S. But the Italians used a weird 2.65, which really isn't that much bigger. It is a 2.67, 2.68, which you wouldn't think that 4 thousandths it makes much of a difference. It does, especially with the rifling on these. These have very deep rifling from the factory, so you want to make sure you have the right ammo in there. Companies now are starting to make the right ammunition for this gun, or at least the bullets. So it's becoming more available and easier to deal with that problem with the accuracy. So it's kind of nice. When I first started getting these guns, that was not the case. I couldn't find any of it. So I do have to shoot 2.68 bullets out of these to really get some accuracy, but for something that's over 100 years old, almost 110 years old, I could still get it within the 6-inch circle relatively. I know that's not what most people want. They want it like perfect minute of angle.
You're not getting that out of most surplus rifles.
Yeah, you're asking way too much. Yeah. So go play with some other gun if that's going to be the case.
Not to beat a dead horse. I know you guys can't see me. I'm behind the camera, but you get what you get. Garbage. Straight garbage.
Yeah, straight garbage. So, but the tip, the butt stock, butt plate, pretty basic. Like I said before, this one's a little beat and stock's a little chewy in the back here. Very short comb. Your sling swivel here. One thing I will mention a bit later in this close-up is about the slings themselves. And there is your indicative Carcano bolt. One of the people describe it as sandpaper. It is, but it's a strong bolt. People think these are weak guns, but they actually can outperform. The Germans would take captured ones of these and convert them to 8mm. So if they can take 8mm, I think it's a pretty strong action. Here is your Mannlicher magazine. We'll get more to that later. Like I said, this was the sight. And then there's pretty much the stock going down, and then the top half of the handguard goes away. This long, little skinny stick all the way up to where the bayonet lug is, and the front nose cap, and the front sight. So that's pretty much most of the gun there. So one thing, we're going to take the bolt out, and we're actually going to take this one apart. So bolt, your standard bolt action rifle. Comes out kind of like if you know a Mosin, pull the trigger, comes right out. Don't need the gun. Here is the Carcano bolt, the indicative Carcano bolt. Very cute. So to take the bolt apart here, you want to first decock the bolt. So what you're going to want to do, as this is the cocking piece, pull it apart and spin it so it goes into the decock position. So now you have this knurled end cap here and this little button. So you want to push that button down, and then you can just unthread this cap. It comes right off. And now you can just take the cocking piece right off. So that piece. Now this piece right here is the safety actually, and the safety is holding all the spring pressure right now. So you'll see this weird looking channel. Some guns don't have this extra notch piece, but there is a channel inside. So you see that pin right there, you'll push the safety down over and it'll come there. That's the safe position when this is actually in the gun. And then you'll take it, move it over here. There's a hidden channel underneath, it comes right out. That's your safety flag, I guess you would call that. Usually the spring and the firing pin come right out. And that's the bolt head and the bolt body, all of it as one piece. And then there is the kind of, I guess that's a 1/3 extractor across one whole half of the cartridge, or almost one whole half. And that does come out as well. You got to kind of pry it a little bit. I usually don't take those out. Cleaning them wise, especially the ones you get from Royal Tiger. Pretty dirty, but you can get in there without having to rip that out. So that's pretty much that on the bolt. And then the rest of the gun, we're not going to really toy with that, especially the magazine. Now putting the bolt back together and putting it back in the gun. Bolt body, firing pin, right in the back, spring, right in the back, your safety flag. So you'll just push down, and then you'll get that little nub into that notch. Push it all the way in and over. Then you want to push it all the way up and over there. It's the one piece with the cocking piece and the firing pin here, as there is a little flat part right there. So that mates with a tiny little flat piece in there. It is actually on this side of the cocking piece, not on the side where this flat. This is a groove that kind of helps as the gun, the piece goes back into the gun as you cock it. So that needs to correspond with that. So how this actually goes, this piece here will go on the bottom of the bolt. So you want to spin this flat piece up toward the safety there. So it's kind of facing the flag portion of the safety. Put that in, should go right in, just like that. Look at that. Then you put your piece back on, screw it down. You might have to push this in to get it down. It doesn't need to go all the way tight. It can be relatively loose in there. Some bolts are kind of loose. Once you get it into its last portion of the notch, that's fine. And then that's it. And then you actually want to recock it before you put it in the gun. And then you'll take this guy, and you gotta pull the trigger to put it in. That's that. And that's all I'm really probably going to give you with that portion. This part's going to be super long because I'm going to add a little extra. Here's a bayonet for it. Italy is one of the first countries to have a shorter bayonet than everybody else. This is a, I think, 12-inch long bayonet. This, I think, was a parade one because it has this white finish on it, but it's seen a good bit of years. Usually on these, they'll have markings right there. And I think sometimes they're on the other side, and then you'll usually see the manufacturer where it came from, usually in an oval right there on the base of the blade. This one's a little rough, so you can't really see it. Basic wood grips. You know, it's pretty indicative for almost every bayonet of the time. And, you know, it goes, I mean, you've seen the short of this probably by now, but a notch right on there. And little thing, these bayonets that come from Royal Tiger are very loose. So, just a word of warning if you get one from them. And that's it. I was going to tell you something about the sling, but I'll save that for another episode. So, now that we did all that, let's take you back out for some conclusions. Hey, how's it going? We're going to shoot some stuff. It's going to be nice. Today we got a nice spicy Italian meatball. This is a M91 Carcano. This one's from 1915 actually, and the bore on this is literally a sewer pipe. Sometimes it hits things correctly, and most of the time it just keyholes, but I love it anyway. So these load from a 6-round end block, so this entire thing goes in the gun. Just like that. It's ready to go. This is a safety on it. Sometimes you'll actually pull the whole bolt open if you push the safety in sometimes, if they're sticky enough. But now we're ready to fire again. See if I can hit anything. I can tell you, it's not where I'm aiming, it's not going. Goes that team. I'm not going to hit anything with it, but that's okay. I still love the gun. So yeah, these are pretty cool. Definitely worth a buy. Very light recoil actually, considering it's 6.5. It's a pretty light bullet, pretty long barrel, and even the guns are very light. With the walnut stocks, they're like under 8 pounds. So for full-length rifle, it's pretty cool. Also, we got a bayonet. Put that bad boy on. Maybe that'll make a difference. If I can hit something. Guns are a little sticky. Oh. Well, the thing I hit, I was actually aiming probably about 3 feet to the right, so this just goes to show how bad the bore is on this guy. Oh, that one was right on, though. What do you know? All right. Oh, this one didn't want to come out. Alrighty, and that's it on this Italian meatball. Doesn't shoot straight at all, but still pretty cool, especially since it's
a spicy meatball.
Exactly.
Spicy meatball.
All right, we're out of here. Bye bye. How dare you?
Yes.
So anyway, now I mean the conclusion pretty much is should you buy one?
Yeah, they're cheap for now.
They are cheap for now. The long ones are a little bit more expensive.
Yes.
Than the normal tiny ones you see with the folding bayonets.
It's
and stuff
still
like
a
that.
sub $600 gun.
Yeah, it's still sub. I mean, The only place you're going to find the long ones is, unfortunately, and kind of fortunately, is on Royal Tiger. So you're going to get rough ones. You're going to get ones that aren't pretty. You're going to get ones that have really garbage bores. You got to be very careful. They get them in lots and stuff like that.
Ethiopia.
So there is a word of warning on these.
Hand select option.
Yes, hand select bore, whatever pay the extra money because it is worth it. Yeah, they're cool. They're really smooth. Learning the ammo though is one of the big abysmal problems. The commercial stuff only really works in guns with really good bores. So if you get one with a shot out bore or a sewer pipe bore like this one, I can still see rifling. It's still there. It's very rough.
Semi-existent.
Yeah, it's very rough, very crusty, but it still shoots straight relatively. It'll throw zingers here and there. Depends on what I put in it.
Rough, crusty, dependable, Carcano.
Yeah, exactly. The bolts, they're sandpaper.
They're almost worse than a Mosin bolt.
Yeah, no, well, a Mosin bolt is like
a Mosin bolt is factory.
It's like
smooth.
It's not smooth, but it's like a spring. It's like a smushy spring because there's so much empty air inside, like the innards of it. This has a lot less moving parts, but the problem is that the ejector little notch that comes out, it sits under a spring, so it's constantly being pushed up against the bolt, and it's riding in a groove. So that's just metal on metal grinding, and how they cut the notches for that is very rough. So they are a little crunchy, a little loose.
Yeah,
but that's okay. They made a crap ton of them, so understandable. And then one thing else, if you need information on Carcanos, if you are so entitled to try to dig deeper into the complete rabbit hole that is a spaghetti hole.
With meatballs.
Yes, there is other books. I would recommend this one by a Senor Giovanni Chaggia and an Alberto Salmonelli. Salmonella. So
they didn't butcher that badly.
I don't think so, but anyway.
We'll find out.
So I recommend this book. It does talk a little bit about the Vetterli, and it talks about every single type of Carcano that there is out there, from this direct action. They all go from all the way to this, all the way to the 9141, even the Tipo I, which is the Japanese one, and even some of the German rechambered ones as well. So they go all over the place, a lot of details. That's where pretty much all this information I spewed into your face came from this book. So I'd recommend it. And then I guess the last little bit is going to be Patrick on the loading system.
N blocks.
As an N block.
We all know them. Some of us hate them, some of us love them. The Garand is not the only rifle that uses these. This was created by an Austrian man. I don't know his first name, but his last name is Mannlicher.
Ferdinand.
Ferdinand? Was that his name?
Ferdinand.
Yeah,
I think it's Ferdinand.
More than I do. This system for loading, in my opinion, is one of the best.
So it's one of the fastest.
It is, because even, offhand.
Those are dummies.
Those are dummies.
They go right in.
Yeah, and you just, the clip, when this is empty, it'll eject out the bottom.
Yeah, the clip plops out the bottom.
But a lot of people, especially in the U.S., think that the Garand's the only rifle that uses M blocks. These use M blocks. The German Gewehr 88 commission rifle uses M blocks. Obviously the straight pull Mannlichers use N blocks. These were widely used for a very long time, and Garand just figured out how to make one hold 8 better than anybody else could.
Yeah,
because this is 6.
Yeah, that's 6. That's the most for a while until.
That's the most you're going to get out of a bolt gun until you get to a Garand.
Yeah, it gets to the point where the bullets are smaller. So it makes sense you can fit 6 instead of the 5 that would have been in a Mannlicher.
If you own a Garand like I do, whenever you load one of these, you instinctively put your palm to the back like this, even though there's no bolt.
Yeah, expecting
that's going to come down and take your hand off.
To eat your thumb. But
yeah.
And then you can technically do a ping. You have to hold it very weird to eject it out.
Yeah, it's kind of like...
If it's half in, you can eject it out. But usually when it's all the way in the gun, how the hook system works, it really keeps that stable.
We can show the clip coming out the bottom, right?
Usually when the last round is picked up, there's nothing holding tension on the end block anymore. So they usually poop out of the bottom of the gun.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're sticky, they don't poop out.
Can I get that to just go out by itself?
So it'll kind of fall out of the gun.
No, it won't.
Way to go, Patrick.
Don't mind me.
Failing.
This is a blooper, if I've ever seen it. So yeah.
So that's how
That's basically it.
the end blocks work on these.
And all these end blocks like this and a Gewehr 88, I know it's not a Gewehr 88, but the commission rifle, the clips look basically the same.
Yeah, these
They're different, but they're the same.
Yeah, they are. These are actually bidirectional, so either way.
Steyr Mannlicher ones are one directional.
Yeah, those are one direction. They make it pretty obvious that they're one directional.
It's how the rounds are stacked. M1 clips, as everybody knows in the
those
US,
are also
unidirectional.
those are also rimmed cartridges,
Yes.
so they will get rim lock.
And this is a clip.
Yes.
That's a magazine.
Get educated.
Clip feeds the magazine. Forgot one thing. What did the Italians oil their rifles with?
Oh, a little tidbit of information. Little. You would think. I mean, this is super probably obvious, in all honesty. So this is an oiler for these guns and for the guns prior.
Weird shape.
Very weird shape, yes. So the Italians need to oil their guns like everybody else. So what would be the most stereotypically freaking Italian thing to oil your gun with?
I love this.
You guessed it. Olive oil. We are done. I'm done with this bull crap.
Yep.
So do the stupid YouTube bull crap, whatever, like, comment, subscribe.
Turn on the bell.
That's Patrick's part, like always.
Always my bell.
I'm done. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Wait, so my mic's still on.
Oh, yeah.
You get what you get with surplus rifles.
Patrick's mic's still on.
Yeah.